Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you the very first episode of our wedding series. I'm so excited to finally get a jump start on all things wedding with you guys and basically start sharing our journey. I really wanted to do a Q&A as the introduction to our wedding series so you guys can basically get familiar to what we're doing and where we are in the whole wedding planning process. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. I asked you on Instagram to send me some of your questions, so let's get started with the frequently asked, where are we getting married? A lot of you guys already know this, but we are getting married in Dominican Republic. I'm so excited to have it in Dominican Republic, my homeland. To be honest with you guys, I actually wasn't expecting for us to go the destination route because it wasn't my vision, or I guess what I expected or dreamed. I think I quickly mentioned to you guys on our engagement video that I was envisioning something upstate, woodsy vibes, and also something this summer. Very unrealistic of me, it being that 2022 is like the busiest year for brides. So we are having our wedding at 2023, and we recently, just yesterday, got our date. And oh my gosh, let me tell you, it has been so extremely stressful to get a venue and to get a date and for things to fit around our budget. I feel like a lot of us think that a destination would be cheaper than having it in the States or where you're from. And to be transparent with you guys, it has not been that much cheaper than I was expecting. Dominican Republic is really expensive for weddings. I'm sure like Mexico or anywhere else you would have a destination wedding, it's also up there in price. I feel like a wedding here would be a lot more than what I'm already going to be paying in Dominican Republic, but it's still not like, oh my gosh, so cheap. I feel like I got sidetracked, but yes, we are having a destination wedding 2023. I'm so excited to say that and to already know the date. It's definitely lifted a weight off my shoulders to know a date and now being able to actually start planning, getting some save the date cards, looking into like other things after getting a date and a venue. So now we can look into vendors and stuff, which is going to be the fun part in my opinion. So yes, to answer the question, we are having a destination wedding in Dominican Republic, to be exact in Casa de Campo, which is my dream. Very up there in price, but I am sure it's going to be so worth it. I do want to throw it out there because I'm sure a lot of you guys will ask, but it was very helpful going to my friend Stephanie's wedding. Like you guys saw, she had her wedding also in Alto Sechabon and Casa de Campo. So it was really helpful being able to experience and see what a wedding could be having it there. Her wedding was an absolute dream and perfection, to be honest. So yes, that definitely helped solidify our final decision having it in Casa de Campo. While we were there, we were lucky enough to see and visit a couple venue and villa options. I'll talk a little bit more about that on another episode, so let me know in the comments below what you guys want me to answer when it comes to finding a villa or venue in Dominican Republic. Another frequently asked question was our budget and how we determine to choose or find our budget. Someone asked, please discuss how you both plan / have planned to budget for each expected expense. So when we first got engaged, I honestly didn't know what were like the steps and like the first thing to do when you get engaged, obviously after enjoying being engaged. And everyone kept saying all over social media that the first step is finding your budget and then your guest list. So at the beginning of the year, we did sit down and talk about our budgets, our imaginary budget, because obviously, you know, at the beginning we had a different budget since we wanted to have it in the States. And then we lowered the budget to, you know, for it to be cheaper since we were thinking and considering Dominican Republic. And now we have come into the conclusion that it's going to be over the budget that we originally planned for. I don't know if I want to discuss our actual budget number right now. Maybe after the wedding when everything is finalized and I can give you an actual number. But at the end of the day, everyone's budget is different. Everyone's expectations for their wedding or their needs and their wants are different. I feel like when determining a budget is important to emphasize on what's important to you, and that way you can break it down for priority. So for me in particular, priority is definitely a good photographer and a good videographer. It's just important for me to have those memories and photos and videos, also it being my job, but also because to me in particular, a wedding is just one day and the only things that you have left from the wedding are photos and videos and memories. So That's why, to me, it's high priority on our budget list. Another tip that I would give to determine your budget is to be realistic with your budget and to leave some wiggle room. So let's say that your dream budget would be $20,000 for your entire wedding. Set a realistic goal, which would be like $40,000 as your budget, because what I feel is that you're going to go over budget, and that's what has happened to us. Mostly because there's things that I don't want to give up, because obviously I can choose a cheaper venue and go a different route. If I fall in love with a venue that it's a little bit over budget, I feel like I'm going to choose that one. But you know, be realistic, and obviously if you have to choose a cheaper budget so that you can have your dream wedding, I highly recommend for you to do that as well. Another tip that I would give is to do your research and find sources out there on social media. TikTok has been really helpful for me. YouTube can also be really helpful, but I found a TikTok, which I'll list down below for you guys, that the girl basically wrote down and did everything on her Excel sheet. And I personally am not an Excel girl. I don't know how to use it. I am still learning how to use it, but I found that it is extremely important to start your wedding planning with an Excel sheet. If you guys know about Excel, everything that I'm going to say is probably common sense, but you can make different tabs. So for example, you can make one for your guest list and write every single person that you want to invite, and then have different tabs and write their address. If you sent out the RSVP, you can also have a tab for gift in case you want to send out a thank you card and know exactly what each person gave you. You can also make another folder or tab for your budget and basically break it down that way and see exactly the total at the end, or an estimate at the beginning. I really needed an estimate, and that's what I asked my planners to do. Obviously, they can't give you an actual number that the vendor will charge you, but I just wanted to see an estimate, even if we went over budget on the estimate numbers, and then we can end up either negotiating or falling in the actual budget that we wrote down. Starting with the venue, and then you can have another tab for your estimate budget number that you feel or think that would cost. You can also write ceremony, catering, alcohol, bartenders, cake, photographer costs, videographer costs. Just basically write down every single thing that would cost you money and what you think you want to include in your budget. But yeah, overall, that definitely helped me a lot, and I highly recommend for you guys to start everything off with an Excel sheet. Another pro tip, which I feel like I should have started the video with that, even though this is not like a tips and tricks for wedding planning. Another thing that has been really helpful for me, and it was a tip that I found on TikTok, and it is to make an email. The second you get engaged, make a separate email for all things wedding, because whenever you go and see vendors or locations, they're going to ask for an email, and if you give your personal email, it's just going to fall with everything else in your life. It's just better to have a separate email where your partner and you can both have access and answer that way. That way things don't get lost in the pile of everything else. Yes, I'm definitely going to be linking that TikTok down below for the Excel sheet because it was really helpful for me. Any traditions you want to keep, example, in a church. I feel like my wedding will be a mixture of both modern and very traditional. There's certain things that are not going to be traditional, but for example, I definitely want to get married in a church. Eric is not Catholic, but we are going to be doing all the paperwork, and he has agreed for us to get married in a church. It's just something that I want to do, especially because it's important for my mom, but also because, in my opinion, it's like the most beautiful type of wedding. It is getting married in the Catholic church. I don't know, the ceremony is just beautiful to me. Another thing that I feel like is traditional, I kind of don't want to do a first look, but there's a big but. After attending Stephanie's wedding in Dominican Republic and realizing how hot, even though obviously I'm Dominican, born, raised there, not raised there, but born there, it is really hot. It is very, very, very hot. And what I realized was that my hair and makeup just certainly did not look the same as I stepped out of the hotel room. So with that being said, now I am unfortunately considering having a first look rather than walking down the aisle and just be the first time he sees me. I really want to do that because I've never seen Eric cry, and I told him a million times, if I walk down the aisle and you're not crying, I'm going to turn around and do it all over again until you are. No, but seriously, I would love to see like his actual real emotions and reaction while I'm walking down the aisle, which is why I want to not have a first look. But I know that since video and photos are really important to me, then it's good to have a first look. That way you can get the photos out of the way. I don't know. I'm still indecisive about it. Please let me know in the comments below if you guys did a first look, if you prefer it that way. If you didn't do a first look and why you preferred it, let me know in the comments below. Have you tried on dresses? No, I still haven't tried on dresses. That is definitely something on the top of my list, and I'm really, really excited. We actually have an appointment for this weekend. I don't know how I'm going to feel, or like if I'm going to fall in love with the dress right away. I feel like it's uncommon, but it does happen that women fall in love with the first dress they try or the first round of dresses. Knowing myself, I feel like it's going to take a couple tries, but I am really excited to try all sorts of shapes and dresses. That was another question here, if I know like the type of dress that I want. To be honest, I don't, because I love many different types of dresses or different styles of dresses. Like I love the big princess A cut type dress, but then I also love a form-fitting type dress, more simple kind of dress. I don't know. I love all sorts of dresses, and I really want to try them all and see the style of dress that I feel that suits me the most, or what I love the most. If you have a bridal shower, will you film it for YouTube? I hope so. I don't know exactly if we're going to have a bridal shower. I hope to have a bridal shower. I also asked on Instagram who actually throws the bridal shower, like if it's me or if it's my mom or bridesmaids, and everything was super up in the air. Like some people said that it's definitely the maid of honor that is in charge with the bridesmaids, or it's just your mom and the bridesmaids, or it's your mother-in-law that throws it. I'm not sure the actual etiquette, but I hope that it happens, and if it does, I'll definitely film it for you guys. Also in the dress category, someone asked, does Eric have any preference on style? Yes, he does. He has let me know. Not let me know, but I am on wedding TikTok, so there's a couple of videos trending on TikTok where you ask your significant other to choose the style of dress that they think their partner is going to choose. And he has let me know which one is his favorite. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to choose that style, to be honest. But do you have a wedding planner already? Oh my god, I feel like I should have started with this question. This was the hardest part for me, and the most stressful part for me, because obviously having a destination wedding, it is important to have someone in the country that you're having the destination wedding at. So I interviewed and did a couple consultations with many wedding planners in Dominican Republic. I feel like I interviewed almost every single wedding planner over there. And it was really, really hard. It was very hard. A lot of them charge you just for the consultation. And I was like, what do you mean? Also, the prices for wedding planners, it was very shocking to me to find out. One of the days that I was scrolling on Pinterest, I fell head over heels with this wedding that happened in Casa de Campo. I clicked on the photo and it took me to the blog post of the photographer that photographed every single photo for the wedding. And I'm scrolling and scrolling, and every single thing that the girl had at her wedding is like, oh my god, this is my dream wedding. And I scroll all the way to the end and it shows the name of the wedding planner. So I click and I message the wedding planner and I'm like, I am head over heels in love with the wedding that you just made. I want to know more about your services. Long story short, I have a consultation. I absolutely love her. Eric is also in the consultation, and we are both super obsessed with this lady. She is well known in DR, and it just turned out to not be the right fit because, number one, she is extremely expensive. But also, I feel like for how much she was charging, I wasn't receiving the type of attention or information or like dedication to it at the beginning as I would assume. She was taking weeks to respond to me sometimes. I would keep insisting and asking her for an estimate of the wedding that I had presented to her, and she just wouldn't tell me an actual estimate. So I'm like, what is taking this lady so long to give me an estimate? Like, this was going on for almost 3 weeks. And it got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm going to start interviewing other people, because that was my mistake. I basically fell in love with this one wedding planner and I just didn't interview other people. But after I realized that it just wasn't a right fit with this lady, and if this was happening just at the beginning before me paying her, I was like, how much worse is it gonna get afterwards? So I started interviewing other people and I realized that other people were cheaper than her or more affordable than her. And we did in fact end up finding the perfect wedding planner. Honestly, I'm so excited to work with them. I will be sharing more information and more insights as the whole process goes along. And yeah, I feel like I'm on the right hands right now. They have been really helpful and just very insightful and very organized, just as I like. How do you get a hold / find wedding planners in different countries? Does the venue recommend them? I already answered the whole wedding planner situation, but I do want to touch base on this, especially if you are having a destination wedding in Dominican Republic. So what I've realized is, number one, wedding planners in DR, I don't know if here, but in Dominican Republic, they're basically in charge of absolutely everything, not just the wedding, like designing part of it. So they help you find all vendors, at least mine. She presents to you, let's say, 3 options for a DJ, 3 options for a videographer, 3 options for a photographer. She presents you like different options for different vendors, and then you can choose that way which route you want to go with. When it comes to finding a wedding planner, if it is destination, it doesn't have to be Dominican Republic. The Wedding Wire website was amazing because you basically write down the location or destination, and then they have a list with reviews of many different wedding planners, and that's how I ended up like interviewing and having consultations with other wedding planners as well. And then, does the venue recommend them? Yes, if you have like an actual location or venue that you have in mind, for the most part, and to my knowledge, they have actual wedding planners already in each venue location. So Casa de Campo has a wedding planning team, and what I've realized is that they prefer if you have a wedding planner in Casa de Campo rather than someone outside of Casa de Campo, because they obviously want to keep everything in-house. And fun fact, they do charge extra for having an outside planner, at least for Casa de Campo, that is. They also charge extra for having an outside photographer, an outside videographer. The list goes on and on. It's really stressful and a lot of money to have it in Casa de Campo. I think, to my knowledge, it also happens in Punta Cana, depending on the location. A really common wedding location is Pearl Beach Club. You can also have a wedding planner from their actual team. So you don't have to stress like outsourcing and finding your wedding planner. However, I wanted to find someone that I picked myself, not that they picked for me, you know? Photographer, how do you pick and who do you follow on Instagram, if any? So I actually have a bunch like saved on my Instagram. I don't follow many. I think I only follow 1. But I'm really picky when it comes to photography and how the photos are like edited. And I've noticed that in Dominican Republic, unfortunately, they add such a heavy orange filter to photos, and I'm like, why? I understand that they're trendy right now, but I feel that filters are honestly just a trend and it will quickly move on to the next. So if you have all of your wedding photos with an orangey tint to them, in 10 years or even 5 years from now, you're not going to like that. So that being said, I'm really picky with my photographers, and I like the images to be as natural and unedited as possible. I do want them to look beautiful and clean. So my style is, I feel like a clean, fresh look to the edit in a way. What I've been doing is basically writing down on Instagram like hashtag Dominican photographer and searching that way, or also writing down hashtag Dominican wedding and finding weddings and then finding out who was their photographer. There is a really popular photographer that I am obsessed with, which is Hochi. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know if you are familiar with Dominican weddings, but he is really expensive. And also he has that orange tint to the photos that I don't like. How do you get inspiration that's not Pinterest? To be honest, Pinterest is the way to go when finding inspiration. It's really hard to search and find like your actual inspiration or something that you haven't seen on Pinterest. However, the more you pin things, the better your feed will look, and like then they'll start feeding you photos that are, you know, similar to what you're liking or pinning, which are wedding stuff. So for mine, I have a bunch of different wedding related stuff on my Pinterest. I personally still love Pinterest and I use it religiously. I have found a lot of inspiration on TikTok and also Instagram. So honestly, Pinterest, Instagram, and TikTok are my top 3 to go. Do you have requirements for who you invite, as in college friends that you haven't spoken? So the wedding guest invite was our second thing after budget. like sitting down and talking about it. And that was definitely the hardest, in my opinion. We have narrowed down our list to a number that we like, which at the moment is 130 people. We're hoping that it lowers to 100 after we send the save the dates. And the good and bad thing about destination weddings is that not everyone that you invite will go, so it will shorten your list in a way. But yes, I feel like you should have requirements when choosing who you invite. If you haven't spoken to someone in a year or two, to be quite honest, don't invite them, because you'll then regret it. And guests are really expensive. Like, it's $160 depending on the venue per person. So just be really mindful who you invite. Basically invite people that you 110% know that you're going to be talking to them in like 5 years from now, or if they'll be in your life in 5 years from now, or even 3 years. I again saw a TikTok and I saw that someone did like their list by color. So they prioritized family, and then they made a different color for, let's say, family that you haven't seen in a long time, or friends that you haven't seen and talked to in a long time in a different color. And that way you know what's a priority in your list and who you want to truly invite, and then you can discard people from there. Another great tip is, does this person know you and your partner as a whole? Like, have they met your partner? Have they ever asked about your partner? Do they even know your partner? If any of those answers are no, in my book, is an automatic no. If they don't know my partner or haven't asked or haven't been interested in knowing about my partner, then I feel that they shouldn't be in that room, you know? Also, something else is set your boundaries and don't ask permission. Just let people know, these are my boundaries and these are the people that I'm inviting, and I hope that you understand. What color scheme are you thinking to do? So I already made my mood board, you guys. I made my mood board, and by that I mean I made like a folder, and by that I mean I made a page for every single thing that you can think of. So I made one for the ceremony, for the reception, basically a vision board for every little touch for the wedding. And I have my colors, and the sneak peek, which is not, is my decorations. Like, you guys know I'm a neutral girl. I love neutrals and tones of wood and tones of green and whites. So those are our colors. Is there going to be a limit on how many people y'all each get to invite? Yes and no. At the end of the day, I only have my mom's side because I was raised by a single mom. And Eric has his mom and dad's side, so his list is already longer than mine. On top of that, like I mentioned, Eric has like 10 college friends that he wants to invite, and then he has like 10 high school friends that he wants to invite. I have a really close-knit friend group. So as of right now, he does have a little bit more people than I do, but we have cut down his lists by a lot as well, basically to balance both parties. All right, last but not least, I'm going to leave it with this. How involved is Eric in the wedding process? I would say he is somewhere in between. So like, he is somewhat involved, but not really. Like, he likes to know the details. He likes to say yes and no to things that I do my really hard, deep research on. And that has been a little bit of an issue, I'm not going to lie, because I feel like it's so unfair. Let's say, for example, our main stress was the venue, and I kept negotiating rates and lowering the rates, and then I ended up presenting to him the final rate, and he's like, whoa, that's too much. And I'm like, are you joking me right now? Like, I lowered that price to the max, and you're not happy? Like, find something else then. But obviously men will never be as interested in wedding planning, I feel, unless you have a unicorn. But for the most part, he is involved. He likes being in some of the meetings and also reads the emails and contracts and stuff. So, you know, I guess he is somewhere there. But yeah, that is pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it interesting and got some insight to our wedding. I'm so excited to share this journey with you guys and have you be a part of it. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see on the following episodes, just so that I have an idea. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram because I do update you guys there the most frequently. But thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!